Hi, Shabbat Shalom. Nice to visit with you and to bring a friend and a colleague with me. This person you may recognize. This is Julie Nemeth Rosiski. We knew each other when. Julie's a few years older than I am, but we grew up in the same town. We went to some of the same schools, and we certainly were influenced by the same rabbis and cantor and synagogue life, which had such a positive influence in spite of the negative memories that we carry. But by and large, it was really a wonderful place for us to grow up, and a place where ritual was meaningful and joyful. So a number of years ago, Julie will tell you how many years ago, Julie had become a regular member of the minyan, the daily minyan here. I believe it began in response to her saying Kaddish for her mom. Yeah, and then continued for years after that. And our previous ritual director or facilitator, George Goldstein, who Julie will speak a little bit about, he could no longer do it. He, by the way, passed away at the age of 103, Alef Shalom, phenomenal guy. And Julie took it over, and she has just been an incredible source of consistency and support and a love for tradition and for this shul for all of these years. So I'm really happy to be able to have a few moments to interview you and
thank you, Rabbi.
For the congregation to hear from you as opposed to just seeing you running around on the bima. Tell us a little bit about this experience.
I started my experience with B'nai Torah. We joined in 1991. Shortly after we moved in, the first time I came here, I was interviewing shuls. The first time I came here, I was at home. And I went home and I told my husband, who is not generally involved in shul life, that I found our home in a shul. And he said it was my decision, and it had to be my decision because he was not involved. I love this place. I love everything about this place. I found my home here. I'm as comfortable here as I am in any other place that I live in. So this is my home. I first started coming in 1991 to 1997, to say Kaddish for my mom, who died at the age of 80. Maybe that's why I'm having an issue with 80. I started coming in the morning and in the afternoon every single day for all of the 11 months plus a month. But in the middle of my coming, George, my husband, said to me, I sense a change in our permanent life. And I said, I have to keep going. I can't leave it. When I'm here, when I come in the morning, I'm a better person the rest of the day. My mouth is better. My spirit is better. I feel better. I feel like I've been part of a community and I can't abandon it. And so I said the afternoon, unfortunately for me, I can abandon easily because coming home in the traffic and making dinner, and it was just too much for me. I was too tired, even then at a young age. So I gave up the afternoons, except when I have Kaddish. And I still love coming. I love how I have a community. I call them my guys, and to make sure that we have an aliyah on Yom Kippur when everybody's watching and everybody's up there, and they feel a part of it, I hope, partly because of me. When they come in for the first time or very early in their coming, I welcome them. I tell them my story extremely briefly, and they find a seat in the minyan. It's a makom, and everybody sits in their real place. When someone comes in, there's plenty of places. We don't tell them they're reserved. They just ask where they can sit, and we tell them where they can sit, where there's nobody that sits there. But everybody...
Hey, Julie, give me a chance to ask some questions.
Sure, I'm sorry.
This is my show.
Go ahead, my friend, my dear friend.
And I'm kidding. This is yours today. There are three things that I was thinking about that really create are kind of like defining moments for the meaning of the minyan. The first is not a moment, but an ongoing part of its culture. And that is, you have bought in and you have perpetrated or perpetuated, I should say, this notion that the minyan has to be friendly, that people have to be welcomed. And so it's not just you that welcomes people or the rabbis that welcome people, but everybody in the minyan has to welcome people, because people have to understand what does it mean to belong to community, and the responsibility for each other, and getting to know each other's names. I have been, over the years when I've traveled to minyanim, where nobody says a word.
Not a word.
They don't know who came and who left. But
and they don't care.
That's not us, and we're noted for that. And Julie, I cannot tell you the number of people over these years who have said to me, I loved your minyan. I loved that woman who welcomed me. What was her name? And I'll say, Julie. They say, oh, right, Julie. So that's one element, and perhaps the most important element of rootedness. The second is, when you started here, you weren't wearing talis and tefillin, I don't think.
Talis, yes.
Talis, yes, but not tefillin.
No.
And if there were 9 people and there wasn't a minyan when you started here, correct?
No, there was.
Yeah?
There was. Begrudgingly, somebody would say it's not a real minyan, under their breath, loudly. But we were egalitarian when I started here, or I wouldn't have.
That's right. I wouldn't have joined either. So, okay, but you personify that as the leader, the ritual, director or facilitator. You personify that we're committed to egalitarianism, and that's so important. But I know that we went through a transition having to do with the words in the Amidah, where we began to make available imahot, the mothers, as well as the avot, the fathers, and then it became more and more prevalent to the point where now it's, I would say, culturally preferable. And that's been important also. And you